almost 3 decades, Isaac and Nneka Moses have been at the forefront of promoting African culture and tourism through Goge Africa, a platform that have taken millions on a journey across Africa's rich heritage. As custodians of African culture, they have inspired a renowned appreciation for African history, art, and tourism. Today, we have the privilege of speaking to them about their journey, the evolution of African culture, and the future of African tourism. Welcome to Afri Explorer, Nneka and Isaac. We're happy to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So much.
You look amazing.
Thank you. So first off, we want to learn about your journey. So you've traveled extensively across Africa. Now, do you remember the first place you went to that you'd be like, wow, this is why we're doing this?
The first place I went. That's exactly what they asked me at the American Embassy when I went to, we tried to renew our visas for an engagement in the US. And when the lady threw that question at me, I said, it's a long time. So what was the first country I visited in the course of this program? And I was like, that threw me off balance, you know? I said, well, I told her I'm not as sharp as I used to be when I started. So you have to give me time to think it through. And
So you need time now.
yeah, so, but of course, eventually, I mean, it was Benin Republic.
Oh, the
Yes. Yeah.
But do you know what you told them? You said Ghana.
I said Ghana,
When
yes.
you came out and I reminded you that
That's right.
it was Benin Republic because, I mean, it's proximity to Lagos because we are here in Lagos.
That's right. And that was because when we started then, some locals would let us film or record their activities. So
Because they don't know who we are.
because they don't know who we are, so we decided to start out from the nearest country, which was Benin Republic. Yeah.
So for almost 3 years, for almost 3 decades now, you've been showing Africa, you've been showcasing Africa to the world. Now, do you ever get tired of traveling, or does every new adventure, does it feel real to you?
When you do what you love and you love what you do, you can't get tired. So for me, if we don't get to travel, I get sick.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, for me, it's like, how do I put it? It's just like, it's like food. I get hungry. I need to travel. So yeah, I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
If I tell you that, honestly, traveling is the spice of Goge Africa.
And it's part of our life,
Yeah.
our relationship too.
That's right. Most times people would think, oh, people are spending so much traveling, but then we get complimentary tickets from airlines. We've had complimentary tickets from Ethiopian Airlines, South African Airlines, Lufthansa, what's this American airline that goes direct to the US?
We've got from Delta
That's
too.
Delta. So you made traveling, Air France too, made traveling a lot easier, and even partnered with Best Western in Paris. Where
Different
we used
hotels.
Different hotels.
Hilton.
And we used to go for
Best-
World Music Day, different activities out in Europe that Africans are involved. So we get all these complimentary tickets and complimentary hotel rooms. Yeah,
So we collaborate
collaborate with them.
with the whole value chain
That's right.
that is involved in our trips. We collaborate with them, and then the destination we are going to usually are excited to have us. Most of the time, they actually invite us to come. So when we come, we are treated like kings and queens.
That's the sweet part of it, because
Yeah.
when you travel when you're someone else's guest, they show you the best of their meals,
The best of what
their
they have.
hospitality, the best of what they have. They even try to clothe you in their culture, make you really
Their
look like
cultural
them,
outfits,
immerse you in their culture, and it's quite beautiful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's quite exciting. It's interesting, and
It's exciting.
we're just warming up.
It's educational.
Yes.
It's educational because I get to learn a lot,
Yeah.
and then it helps me to increase our network because you
And
meet a
net
lot of
worth.
people and network. You meet a lot of people, you learn more,
That's right.
and then it kind of helps you change your attitude to life. Usually, most of the time, it's also a humbling experience.
Yeah.
There are places you go to, you're like, oh my God, So yeah, it's I think my job is the best job in the world.
So the experience makes you realize that wherever you go, you are a visitor, and people treat you nice. So you also naturally you get inclined to treat people nice. Yeah.
Because you understand the value.
Yeah.
It's a chain.
It's a chain.
Okay, so the next question now. Now, Goge Africa has been a culture and tourism powerhouse for almost 3 decades. What inspired you to embark on this journey, and how has the vision evolved over the years? So let's take it first. What inspired you to go on this journey?
Yeah, it's different media houses have asked me the same question. Then I was running a radio show. Yeah, and my producer, I was running a radio show and also managing musicians. I was Sheba Reze's manager. Yeah, I was a talent manager, Healing Child, Tina Mudiwe. We go on tours and all that. And running, being a radio presenter, independently though, and I couldn't play the music of my artists. That is to promote them. Decided to bring down the rating of the show. It has to be, American hip hop, foreign music, and I didn't quite like that. So it kind of made me I started losing interest in presenting the program. And when I dropped it, well, I guess the sponsors also pulled out their money, and I decided I'm going to start something that I'll be in control. I'll decide what I play there, what goes on. So I came and I run the idea by her. I said, look, I'd like to start do a radio show that will promote African music, African people, And then she said, why don't you do it on TV? I said, I don't have that kind of funding for TV because TV is quite capital intensive, and I don't have that kind of funds. Then I was, aside from managing musician, I was a voice artist. I do radio commercials, TV commercials. I had a pager, and I was always beeping, So I was making money doing voice work here and there. So when she suggested that we did it for TV, I said, okay, if I'm going to do it on TV, you have to co-present it with me, So, and then she was a bit reluctant. She said she doesn't do this thing. Then she was into costuming. She said she's going to costume me with different African clothing costume so that I would look the part. I said, don't worry, we'll both do it. If you make a mistake, I said, don't worry. If we make a mistake, we take it again and again until we get it right.
Yes.
So she agreed. And then from then, we managed to get the first episode out. And we were quite excited. We weren't even thinking how the money was going to come in. We just liked what we were able to get out. And so we armed ourselves with a small camera, Panasonic, and started hitting everywhere activities were happening and all that, So that was how the program evolved, from promoting just the African music and playing my artist music. A lot of musicians will fool our office with their music videos. Some are wishing to be interviewed with envelopes, which I never took from any of them. I said, if your music is good, you say I'll play. Don't give me any envelopes. They said, but you know how this thing is now. You don't have to be sure. I said, don't worry. I'll print you the video. If it's good and it meets what we're doing, you'll surely see it on the show. So, and gradually the program evolved into, featuring the culture of the people, the culture segment that featured the African, we call it culture of Africans, the dance, the food and all that, the fashion. And because going forward, it has evolved into people now, as we go to different countries, people would call and say, oh, I saw that country on your show. Do I need a visa to go there? Please, I want my honeymoon to be there. It looks so beautiful. I said, it looks like, because I consulted for these people. That was how the tourism part of it started. So now when we go to different countries, we become now deliberate. We become intentional about what we try to feature on the show, so that people would also want to visit these countries we're featuring.
Give it more value.
Exactly, give them more value. And then over time, I noticed some of the countries started wishing to pay. Really, started getting invitation from different countries. The Gambia, Ethiopia, Guyana, like that. You know, down to even Barbados, you know, the Caribbeans. So it became, you know, then some airlines would want us to go and do something in their country and try to fund it, you know. So that was the evolution of Goge Africa. And I think we haven't even scratched. Africa has so much to offer.
Thank you very much. So now I'll direct this question to Nneka. Now, looking back, what has been the most memorable moment from you traveling across Africa?
The most? I don't know about the most. I have many memorable moments traveling across Africa and beyond Africa, including Africa in diaspora. So, plenty. What I'll do now is, off the top of my head, I can talk about anyone that comes first, right? Okay. So, in 2006 or 2007, we got an email from the presidency, and it happened to be the president of the Gambia inviting us to come to the Gambia. It was a fax, not email. There was no email, it was a fax. What? Is this real? Anyway, that trip happened, and it was one of my best trips. We met. We saw the culture of Africa the way we've not seen it before. We saw it like we saw it in Dahomey Kingdom. We saw different people from Monrovia,
Sierra Leone, Cameroon,
Senegal, Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
In one place. It was a Canine festival. Yes. So we stayed there for
2 weeks.
2 weeks, being the guest of the president.
And everybody was falling over us,
Yes.
pampering us.
Yes.
You know when you're a guest of Mr. President.
Yes.
And then Jamaica.
And then we saw this, when you say Africa is deep, Africa is
Deep, for real.
You know, we met the Sierra Leoneans. They were the ones that went to war, and we met that guy who said that he turns into this and that. And
Yes.
the sample of what they showed us there, the juju part of it could be scary, but I mean,
No, the
real.
guy actually said that he's the king of the wizards.
Yes.
That at night they go and eat up their enemies because they don't have the they don't have the equipment. They don't have
To
the
fight.
to fight.
Yes.
So but they have that.
They don't have the machinery,
Yeah, the
you
machinery,
know,
they have
but they
the
have
wizardry.
Yes.
You know? So
The African power to fight
Yeah.
themselves. I was like, what?
yeah.
I'm telling you. Then I remember one time we went to South Africa, remember?
Right.
Then our friend said, since you people are into culture, I'm sure you like to meet Sangoma. I said, I thought he was a musician. Then I didn't know the meaning of Sangoma.
Sangoma is a bush doctor.
Or witch doctor,
Witch
right?
doctor, whichever one.
So we didn't know. We just met Sangoma. He just said Sangoma. I said, that sounds like that must be a musician, Sangoma. So I said, yeah. How soon can we go? And then he took us, and then we came in there. And like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I said, he brought something, and he started talking. I don't know what he's saying. Then the person with us said, okay, that this person. So I said, I should have just told us this is Babalawo now. And Babalawo, you brought us to meet. So we're like, I hope we can record him that because we're here to. With the Igbos will call it Dibia. What do they call it in Hausa?
Well, it's
Meimagani?
No, Malo. It's called the Malo.
Okay, cool. So
It's Afri.
the thing is,
Yeah.
this guy said that the man is looking into our future. I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, right. Who told him to? So I said, by the way, we're not paying you. He said, no. Yes, so very important. So he said, he said that the ancestors have sent you guys to make sure that Africa's culture does not die. I'm like, okay. And do you understand? And he said to us that because the ancestors sent you, the ancestors will protect you. So okay.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, okay. So he now said that he said that we're going to go to many places in the world preaching Africa. So I said, no, we are not pastors. So he said, no, I'm trying to translate. Just wait. Then the man was like, so you're going to preach Africa and you're going to, these ancestors will support you and be with you and it will be well with you. I said, okay. So when we left, when we are out of earshot, I'm like, this is Zach, this would want to set job here. They don't know we are Nigerians. I'm sure the guy wanted to collect money. We laughed and laughed over it. But now, looking back, okay, I'm like, we've survived a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of accidents. We never had one, by the grace of God. But then you come down from this flight, you hear that same flight took off and crashed. You understand? I don't know how to swim. I've recorded in Opobo without a life jacket, and I was comfortable doing it, no fear. You understand? That reminds me, our trip to Opobo, when the Jaja of Opobo himself invited us. In fact, the first time we went, we were not invited. We just heard that the coronation of the new Jaja of Opobo, and I said to myself, this is not something that happened every day.
And considering that the history of Opobo is very popular.
I read that in school.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to go to the land of the Jaja,
And on this day, it was holiday time. The cameraman, the camera crew, December, everybody had gone.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
He made me the camera person. He said, I'll direct.
Yes.
You will carry the camera.
Carry the camera. Let's go.
And we went to Opobo. We got to, then there was no road into Opobo. We got to Corner Waterside. They said from the airport we have to go to Corner Waterside. We got there, they said, okay, you have to take a boat. And as we were about to getting ready to get on the boat, the lady stopped me and said, no, you can't go into Opobo. You're going to go. I said, you can't go. I said, what did I do? Why not? He said, because you're wearing trousers.
So trousers are not allowed.
Trousers are not allowed. They have to tie wrapper. You're a woman. I said,
I
don't have a single wrapper. So she now brought a wrapper, tied it for me, and said to me, gave me her name, and said, when you get to Opobo, look for me. And she happens to be the SSG
River State
to the governor at the time. So I didn't know that. I took my wrapper, we went in, did what we needed to do, and then I think it was a very beautiful experience because you go here, they give you food. Everywhere you go is food. And there was no hotel in Opobo, but everybody wanted to house us. I think they're one of the most hospitable Nigerians.
I mean, you see, at that time, they're most hospitable because even if you do not know anyone in Opobo, you come, you'll be well taken care of.
There's a bed space for you. There is food for you and drinks.
Friendly, and because they drink a lot.
Yes.
They like to party, they like to have fun. So, and on that day,
don't talk about checking people.
The thing is that what was most exciting about it was that everybody walks.
Yeah, no car,
no vehicle,
no Okada, no Keke Mara.
Everybody walks.
Even the king walks to the church and back.
So you park your car in Port Harcourt, get on the boat, and then get to the island. So you start walking wherever you go. So people, they're so.
When you eat from this house, before you get to the next place, the food has
digested. Yeah.
I think you have to walk. You walk, and I think they are healthy people.
They are very. I was going to say they are going to be very healthy.
They go from house to house, just eating and partying and drinking. Wherever you go, they bring out.
And then they want some festival.
Oh man.
I think December is a good time to be in the Opobo, actually. Anyway, enough of Opobo. Do you want to talk about our Kere?
Okay. Our Kere.
Or that's that event we went for, right?
The Shekiri people are another people that really, I don't know where they love us the most, but
Okay, was it the Robo people that waged money? Let me tell you about the culture of the Robo people. Went for Agbasa Juju in Warri. We were being hosted by Robo people. Now the king.
They took us to the king's palace.
And he brought cola.
Okay.
In a plate. And then everybody in the palace started bringing money. So 50k. We're using this money to wage the cola. This one bring this amount. We're waging the cola. They are waging cola. I don't understand. So we are like, okay. And when they are done waging the cola, you know what happened? somebody now stood up, collected the whole money, almost about close to about 400k.
Yeah.
Now came to me. I was carrying my bag like this in my hand. Said, hey, madam. No, madam. He said, Nneka, put this in your bag. I said, what? He was giving me. I said, no, it's not mine. He said, no, it's your money. It's for Goge Africa. All of you, take. I put the money in my bag. Like if I refuse the money, they will take offense. That the money is used to wage the collar, so the collar doesn't fall off the place. So after I've collected the money, they now started blessing and cutting the collar. Interesting, right?
Very interesting. Now we know that going from one country to another doesn't come with it doesn't come with its own challenges.
Without its own challenges.
Without its own challenges. So now what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in promoting African culture and tourism?
I start from language challenges. In the Francophone Africa, they are not too happy with you when you do not speak French. So we have that challenge. They treat you as if, they're suspicious because you can't speak the language. So
trust issues.
Yeah. And again, being in Nigeria, honestly, you have to always prove that you mean well and that you don't have an ulterior motive. I recall once our visit to South Africa, I went to interview a number of artists. They all refused. They felt Nigerians just come all the way just to interview us. No, there has to be more to it.
They didn't give us access.
So we had to.
There was a friend who met a French guy and
French
wife
guy.
Some couple of years back then,
Yeah.
who now connected us to Nikki Blumenfield.
Nikki Blumenfield was another personality at Fire FM. Yes.
So when those people vouched for us, Nikki, I booked an appointment, we met her, we talked, and then
Got on the radio and
got on her show.
Mm.
And she announced that we're Nigerians, we're here to promote our projects, African musicians,
And there's something about when I get on radio. They were all curious. They wanted to know who are these guys.
before the show was over, some people were already waiting outside. They wanted to meet him because he has the voice.
So who are these guys?
I do not have.
No, baby, come on. So the artists just got that.
Yeah.
So many of them, they wished.
And then the record labels. Gallo Music.
Nikki she's white, and she vouched for us, and we were on her show, a very popular radio show.
It was during that period that we met Brenda Fassie. Oh yes, we met out.
A long time ago.
Yes, Ringo Madlingozi. This is Vusi, Chopper.
This girl Kandiswa. With Appleseed.
Lebo Matosa. A lot of them.
A lot of Gloria Bossman. So we met a whole lot of them, and at the time we were already getting ready to leave. We had like about 2
days or so
left. So it was like back to back. We nearly didn't get a time to sleep. But it was
exciting.
It was exciting.
Very exciting.
Okay. So now we know that a lot of things are being influenced by Western cultures in Africa. Now, in your experience, what are the biggest misconceptions people have about traveling within Africa?
The misconception. I do not think, in my opinion, that there are misconceptions.
But there are challenges.
Aside from if you're traveling by road, there's a lot of the border checks.
Lack of connectivity.
Aside from that, there's a lot of lack of transparency, lack of accountability. They make you at the borders, make you pay money. You get receipt for.
You're extorted.
You're extorted. So that is a big challenge. And then aside from that again, part of the challenge is there are checks on the road. You're stopped by different security operatives. So a journey that would ordinarily say if you're going from here to Ghana, that should take you like 6 hours. It takes you almost 10 hours.
A whole day.
A whole day because of too many stops. And then at the border, they don't make it. They're not in a hurry to get even at Aflawo border in Seme. Then they still slow you down with a lot of I don't know, let me not use the word I want to use, but they slow you down.
So from lack of connectivity, like he said, the language barrier is a big issue when we try to travel within the continent. And also, going to misconception, you use that word. You see, because our culture is not really out there for people to understand and see. Other people, including us, view our way of life with a lot of suspicion and also with a high level of degradation.
Yes.
Let me put it that way. I don't know if that's the correct word to use.
With suspicion. They view us with suspicion.
And they feel that our culture is inferior. That's where I'm going. Okay. Now you see the people of Benin Republic, for instance, or the Benin Kingdom, or there are places where people say, oh, their juju is too much.
Yes.
Now people call it voodoo. Oh, the Americans say you cast a voodoo spell on me. What they call voodoo happens to be the traditional religion of these people, and it's not voodoo, it's voodoo.
I think it's a bastardization of the word
Voodoo. And voodoo really actually is love. Now, it's their own religion. You see, you cannot, just like the Igbo people, you cannot stain your hand and be an Ozo titled man. I don't know about today, but I'm telling you about before then.
Yeah.
Before you can become an Ozo person in Igbo land, you have to be an upright person. Okay? So, in Voodoo religion, you don't do bad, your hands have to be clean. They believe in God.
Yeah.
Now, when the colonial masters came to Benin and they said they wanted to build a church, and they asked them, what is your church all about? Who do you? They said, oh, they are worshiping God. So they said, okay, if you're worshiping God, well, stay across the road. This is our own temple. We are worshiping God through the Python totems, through our own deities. So you stay over there. There is no how God will not hear our voices. We call up to Him. You on the other side, you call up to Him. So worship. You stay there, we stay here. That's why when you go to the Python temple in Benin Republic in Ouidah, you see the church directly opposite the snake temple. Okay? So, but part of colonization, part of taking away from Africa is first, if I can convince you that you're not good enough, if I can convince you that your culture is not good, is inferior, you don't even have a God, then what will I do? I will begin to look up to you and believe you. So some people said they came, they gave us the Bible while we were praying, close our eyes, we open our eyes, they've taken all from us. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not that the African culture is not good enough or that is fetish. It's not.
It's what they made us believe.
Yes.
That's right.
And you know, our politicians will easily swear on, okay, I swear to God, or the Bible, they put their hand.
But they should swear by God.
If you ask any politician to go back to their local government
they would never.
and swear by the Ifa or by the God of their land,
By your form.
or by your form, or even Alisi Okija, they will not. They will claim Christianity quickly and tell you, no, I'm a Christian, I can't.
Yeah.
But in the dark, they will creep there. So, you see, people do not respect African culture because we have not taken time to package and present our culture
Absolutely.
the way it will be palatable.
And that's
I remember
when the mysticism surrounding African culture is part of the reason why there's that gray area that people take African culture with a pinch of suspicion.
I agree with you.
You see the masquerade dancing, yet they can't see anybody inside. You
like
don't know what moves it.
You don't know what moves it.
You know, so
the truth is that the African culture is the one that is closest to nature. And anything that is closest to nature is closest to the creator. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, and people are afraid of what they don't know, what they can't explain. They are afraid of it. So that's why when you talk about African culture, they're like, I don't know voodoo spell. Do you understand?
Because those that are supposed to explain it to them are even pushing away the culture.
They are pushing away the culture and trying to embrace another culture. But the thing with African culture is, it's internal. It is there. And as long as you're stepping foot on the African soil, it is there. It's not going away. It's not going to go away because people like us and you will not let it go. And the real people that practice African culture is not juju. Yeah. The real African culture, I tell you,
in God.
We believe in God.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Christian too, but I know that my culture is what takes me further. You see, if you leave your child in my village, it takes a village to raise a child. Do you understand? But the Western culture is I, me, and myself alone. When I go home, my grandmother, his grandmother, they cook for everybody. You can't come into our house, they say give him
communal
food.
living.
There's a communal living.
Yeah, you know, as people advance in knowledge, education, exposure.
What education? Western education.
That's it. There you go. Because once you have Western education, you have exposure, you begin to see African culture as,
as derogatory.
Yeah, because you feel, oh, you have advanced a notch.
But the funny thing is that they pay a lot to come and understudy us.
And as far as tourism is concerned, it's our culture that is a tourism product
That we
have. So depending on how we package it, how the story will tell around it.
That's why it's important to every African to tell the beautiful African story.
Yes.
When Black Americans come through me to Africa, they say, oh, I want to get an African name. When you do your fufu, I want to pound yam. They want to pound yam.
Yes.
These are experiences they want to experience. They're not interested.
I mean, it's quite immersive.
Yes, you immerse yourself in our culture.
Fancy restaurants and all
No,
that. I remember
that.
things we reject.
We don't want to do those things that make us who we are.
Yeah.
I remember when Goge Africa started, everybody was palming their hair. In fact, when I wore a cowrie ring to the market, the woman was like, it's juju. But today, I see young, beautiful African girls make their hair in patterns that, the Western people will see and we're like, wow.
Yeah.
And they put the beads and they put the cowries. And today it's okay. But then it took us a quarter of a century to get here.
Honestly, without trying to sound off, the amount of push we give African music
culture,
and
and tourism.
I'm not surprised that African music, especially Nigerian
Music.
Afrobeat, has gotten to where it is today. I recall one gentleman we interviewed in New York, Kola Knox.
Oh yeah, Kola Knox. He was an on-air personality.
Yeah, he works with WLIB New York.
LIB New York. Yeah.
Radio, and he said that African culture, African music is big in America, and he hopes
that one day
it will be big in
Africa.
Oh,
And he said this like over 20 years
Yes.
ago. Today, look at me. I'll come out with this is a Ashoke.
Yeah.
Proudly wearing it. At the time we started Goge, most people who were on air at that time would want to wear
branded names,
foreign names. Let me not call their names here, but names from the fashion designers from Italy and all what have you. But today, I will wear, if it's Ashoke, Akwacha, the Kente, our own thing, and we're proud of it.
Yeah.
And our hair is made like our hair, and we're proud of it.
Exactly. We even started promoting African designers. We had stuff from Nalan from Ghana, Sister Box from South Africa, Franco Shodi from Nigeria,
Regalia,
Afam from Nigeria, based in
Arewa
Couture,
who still clothes
come on, these guys, 204, then they're 1204, they're great guys. And now we are proud to wear their clothes, their designs.
From way back then.
And then you can now see African designs on, runways and the world.
Westerners, they want to
Yes, if more people promote Africa, Goge cannot do it all. We need more voices. We need more people to tell our stories. If that happens, the rest of the world will eat from the palm of our hands.
Can you imagine what happens when Burna Boy is sold out an 80,000 capacity stadium? People are full. Davido sells this out. Wizkid sells. Nigerian acts are terms, name them, and then you bring such beautiful items like you're wearing. Yeah, Burna Boy says, look, this is what I'm wearing, and everybody's buying. Our designers are there selling. You can imagine.
African creativity. Okay, let me give you an example of this family. Mavin Grandpa, bringing in Don Jazzy, Tega, all of them, and all the people from that family and that stable, helping young African people in the creative sector to make African music the top of what it should be.
Yeah.
I say Africa is spinning over with creativity.
Look at them winning Grammys. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
So we have to stand up straight, you know. I mean,
We're people of a proud heritage.
Africa has come of age.
if only we know that.
We do know that. Just that we need to have history in our schools. Every African school should be able to allow the schools to teach their history.
Exactly.
See, Chaka the Zulu is not a myth.
Yeah.
Kwimoremi, Amina,
The Amazons.
the Amazons, these people are not myths, they live.
That's it.
And we should we should have our mentorship should take us back to who we really are. We are people from royalty. And like I said, African culture is mysterious, right? Most part of it is because it's closest to nature. And anything closest to nature is closest to the
God.
creator himself.
Yes. And you see, if Africa wasn't resilient, if Africa wasn't created by God as the king, as the leader,
As a
the
first,
continent, as the first,
others follow.
as a mother continent, honestly, the amount of pillage or pillage that has happened to Africa will be no more. They keep taking, and yet they can't blink.
So we know you've explored Africa extensively. So from your perspective, what do you think unites African culture despite our diversity?
For me,
Number one, football.
yes, I agree with you. Well, for me, I think every corner of Africa that I've been to, we're all warm and welcoming. And I think that's the reason why it was easy for other people to come in and take over.
Yeah.
In fact, in Ethiopia, they'll tell you that a visitor is like a gift from God.
Absolutely.
So they attend to you very well, whether well for them or not. And the same thing cuts across the whole of the continent. So
Africans are
that's
friendly.
number one. We're
friendly.
very welcoming.
They're hospitable.
Yes.
You know, you cannot. I recall, well, look, if we go on, in school, some of my friends that were coming to our house to eat, even after I had left, they still go to our house as if they are my
And your parents will still feed
My
them.
parents will still serve their food and keep for them whenever they come, they eat. So
Then the second thing,
Africans are kind people.
The second thing for me that you find everywhere in Africa, I'll use a South African word for it. It's called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is I am because you are.
Yes.
Looking out for one another, for each other. So I can't think of anywhere in Africa that I've been to that I've not felt that spirit of Ubuntu.
As a matter of fact, you cannot really properly describe that word, Ubuntu. There isn't a word in English that properly captures.
And that's why I keep saying that we need to retain African languages. We have to. You have to speak your language. You need to teach your children your language. Exactly. Because our language, that is where the fabric of our cultures
That's where it
are
lies.
woven.
Yeah.
So you lose it, you lose your culture.
Honestly.
There are certain words that are in my language that I cannot translate in another language.
Exactly.
So holding on to English, French, and all these other
Spanish, they're all colonial language. Our own language.
Those languages are helping to really eliminate our culture.
When you hear Hausa, it's so sweet. You hear Yoruba, Igala. Look, my mom is Igala.
Idoma.
She speaks to me in Igala. My dad speaks to me in Igbo. I go out there, they speak Hausa, they speak English, they speak Yoruba, and I cut all of them. So when I see people who won't speak their language to their kids because they are afraid that you bastardize them, no. A kid has the propensity to catch as
many languages
as he hears.
Yeah.
So
some feel that I have friends who say, oh no, my kids don't speak their local language. Who says my language is local? What makes it local? Local is international. Okay?
That's why in Kano they say hold the mekeke in Kazo Kano and Pika. I can't even translate that into English.
Well, it sounds like whatever you think you are, if you come to Kano, we have a better.
Do you understand? It's an African language.
Yes.
Do you understand? So that's why Goge took the word from the Hausa language.
Oh, what does it mean?
Goge is in Igbo is Obo.
That music instrument Goge is somewhere in
Yes, tied with a string tied across it.
That's Goge.
And then when you twang it, it produces beautiful melodies. That's
on the flip side, though, on the flip side, to Goge is to clean in Hausa.
Exactly.
So we're cleaning the negative perception of Africa with the Goge Africa platform. Yes.
So the African language is rich.
Very rich.
That's why, okay, when you hear...
Idioms, proverbs.
When you see,
Proverbs.
You know?
look at Amharic, the Ethiopians speak.
Yes. They speak of
It's,
some of
you
them.
know, it sounds very good, sounds melodious. Chenastele. You know, it's so
They're
cool.
condemned at you.
You know, they make it's very melodious and it's friendly too.
Have you heard a Calabar person speak epic?
You know?
The way they roll it and roll it and roll it, you understand? And then when the Yoruba speak, it's as if they're talking drum. Then it's you know, for me, it's rhythmic.
It's
So,
very rich.
and the Igbo people, if you hear the Owerri people talk, it sounds so sweet.
Yes.
So I don't know why we're throwing away the riches God has given us
Honestly.
and trying to embrace people who actually are envious of us.
I remember people, friends of ours in the US, African Americans, their anger is that, or rather the trick for us is that also we have other languages outside of English that we speak. Also they lost, so that is, if they were in Africa, they would have had
So they have another language
So
you know,
yes.
besides English.
Exactly. So
Every African has 2 languages they speak, minimum. Every African, because every child, if you're from the Anglophone, you're speaking English, and then there's your mother tongue. Okay. Sometimes they
so
speak
from the
lingo,
Francophone, you speak French and
your mother tongue.
yeah. So
And that's what I'm advocating. Please, I think February 21st is Mother Tongue
Mother Tongue
Day.
Day, yeah.
Please, my people, speak your language. Say something about it. Advocate with me. Teach your children your
Some languages have gone
A
extinct.
lot of languages
Because
have
nobody
gone
speaks it.
extinct because nobody speaks it, and those languages have died with the culture that is embedded in them.
Yeah.
So, since we're talking about languages, so how many languages do you speak? How many African languages do you speak?
No, African languages. I have a bit of but he speaks at least 4
at least
Nigerian languages.
I speak Igbo, I speak Hausa, I speak
Yoruba.
Igala, I speak Yoruba, you know.
English.
I speak Pidgin and I speak English.
Yes, English is not an African language. So
No, he said how many languages do you
African
speak?
language. Is that
African. Oh,
Yes. So if you want to
So
add
is Pidgin an African language?
exactly it is. No, but it's a bastardization of English. No, just like in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone,
because
they-
they
It's made it our own.
Yoruba,
It is now.
Igbo, and everything like.
look at Creole, the Sierra
exactly.
Leoneans, the Liberians speak, and then look at Jamaicans, the way they speak. You know,
Patois.
Patois.
So,
It's
yeah,
all
Pidgin is
from
now
English,
part of
extracted
ours.
from English. So Pidgin is part of it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So now, after almost 3 decades, what's next for Goge Africa?
I think it's time we started telling the story of Goge Africa, the journey. Don't you think so?
Very much so.
Okay, I'll tell you what's next for Goge Africa. This is something we've been doing from way back. For me and for him, we believe that there are no successes without successes. So we have intensified effort in producing our successes. Those who will do better than Goge Africa.
Yeah.
Those who will help us to continue to tell the beautiful African story. That's why we have our mentorship program, internship, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, we're using our story to inspire others who might want to come into our space or other spaces within the African continent.
Just love
And
what you
beyond.
want to do. Because
Now,
it's-
number one is right now, if I were you, try and subscribe to Goge Africa on YouTube because our podcast is coming out. We're going to tell you the story, how we started, the real difficulties we encountered, even as husband and wife, and the times when we lost our child, and so many things, when we nearly got drowned in East Africa, when we nearly, plane crash.
if you
There's
go
so
through
many.
all that, people will not join the business. People will not want to get into it.
No. That is our life story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But then the podcast will also, through our podcast, will tell you how to actually start and sustain yourself in the tourism space.
So they are not going to they are learning from your experience. So they are not
Yes.
starting from the beginning.
No,
They are
we don't want
starting
them to.
from where you.
Yes,
Yeah.
we don't want them to start from the beginning. We want them to stand on our shoulder. And definitely, if you're standing on my shoulder, you'll be taller than me. That's what we want for our successors.
Such a lovely endeavor.
But
Thank you
the
very
next
much.
step.
If you are to leave a message, this is a pan. If you are to leave a message to the next generation of African cultural custodians, what would you think? Let's have a second.
I'll just say, love what you do. Don't go into whatever it is you want to go into for the money. Just love it. When you love it, do it with that passion. Do it with that determination. And the rest will be history. Money will come after you.
Well, I want to remind you that you are sitting on gold. As long as you're an African, you're standing on this soil or wherever you are, you have been made by God to be great. That's why everything about Africa is being rushed by others, but don't let others take your glory from you.
Yeah.
Be who you are. Propagate and project your Africanness in every way, in anything you do, because being who you are is the only way you can stand out from the crowd. Don't copy anybody. You are enough in yourself as a person and as an African. You're more than enough.
You will have problems, but don't let your problem have you. That's it. I beg you that.
Thank you very
Sure.
much. Thank you very much, Ivy. Thank you very much, Nneka.
Pleasure, Chairman.
It's nice having you. So, then, guys, there you have it.